This lesson that we're going to do today is on inferences, or how to make an inference. And we make inferences all the time. Sometimes we don't realize that we're making an inference. So what I'd like to show you today is the different ways that we can make inferences and the different strategies that you can use to determine the clues that authors usually leave to help us determine what they want us to know. Usually with inferences, the author's going to leave us enough clues to where we can figure it out. We just have to learn to pick up on the clues. We make inferences in literature. That's probably one of the biggest places that students have issues trying to figure out what the author is trying to get them to understand. And you've probably experienced it if you read a piece of literature and your instructor or teacher asks you, what did they mean by this phrase? And what you have to do is read between the lines and make an inference and figure out what they want you to know. So I'm going to take you through a PowerPoint. I'm going to give you the definition for what an inference is, and then we're going to practice on making some logical inferences. So the first thing is you definitely need to know the definition of what an inference is. An inference is basically when you read between the lines. You pick up the ideas that are being implied, but they're not directly stated. Okay? It can also be when you make a guess or you draw a conclusion. So basically an inference is when you've read something and you draw a conclusion based on the clues that the author has given you. And again, the easiest way to say this is an inference means when you read between the lines, you pick up ideas that are not directly stated. Okay? So look at this cartoon, because sometimes we can make inferences based on cartoons. Sometimes we can make inferences based on a picture that is given. If you look at this picture, can you determine what the two most logical inferences are? Now you have the two. They walked up to a restaurant and says, I'm thinking this probably isn't the best time to try this restaurant, because what they're looking at on the door is that it says help wanted. They need a chef, they need a dishwasher, and they also need wait staff. So if you're like me, probably I would turn around and go to a different restaurant, because if they can't keep these people, then chances are I don't know what the service or the food is going to be like. So what you would do, look at the choices given, and you're going to find the two most logical inferences based on the picture that they've given us and the clues given in this picture. The first choice, the couple is not likely to have a good dining experience at the restaurant. The couple will never eat at the restaurant. Or the restaurant was recently closed for health violation, or last, whoever's running the restaurant is not doing a good job. So you could make two of those, choose two of those and make your logical inference. I'm going to leave it up here for just a second and let you choose which one you think is the best two inferences for this picture. And then we'll go over it and I'll explain why your choices should be the ones that I show you. So looking at the questions or the answers, they're not likely to have a good experience. This is one you should have chosen because, as I said, if they have a help wanted sign, then you know that they've got some issues going on in this restaurant. They will never eat at the restaurant. It really doesn't give you enough experience or information to suggest this one. The restaurant was recently closed for health violation. Again, we don't have anything that suggests that there was a sign saying they've been closed for that reason. So this one should not have been marked. The last one we should have chosen because it does tell us that if they don't have good management, then chances are there's not going to be a pleasant dining experience. So you should have chosen A and D. One of the things that you want to do when you're making inferences, the first thing you want to do is check for your understanding. You want to make sure that there's valid information, and then before you make your decision on which choice it is, read all of your choices and then make a logical inference or a logical choice based on the information given. This one is a little short paragraph, and it says, a sociology professor wrote on the board, "A woman without her man is nothing." And with a smile, he said this, asked the students to punctuate the sentence correctly. The men all wrote, "A woman without her man is nothing." However, the women wrote, "A woman without her man is nothing." So you see how the two ways people took it. So do you believe that the professor was a man? Or B, do you believe the professor did not believe students could punctuate words correctly?